Hi everyone, it's Ash Morgan here from Online Archery Academy, and today I'm going to be giving you 6 tips to help you win in Vegas. Not money, I can't help you on the roulette tables, but these tips are going to help you with the important thing, which is your shooting, because the Vegas shoot is quite unique. There's a couple of different things that happen that you might not be aware of if this is your first time at the Vegas shoot. But even if you're a seasoned archer and this is your third, fourth, fifth, or some people even go every year for 20 or 30 years, these tips are going to help you maximize your score. The video today is going to be slightly different. I'm going to be giving you 3 tips, and my good friend Mike Peer is also going to be giving you 3 tips. I did an interview kind of podcast a while ago with Mike, and at the moment he's just actually starting his own YouTube channel, which is going to be a little bit more aimed at compound archery. So he's going to give some tips today that are going to really help, and I'd encourage you as well afterwards, if you're interested in compound as well, to go over to his channel and subscribe, because he's going to be doing a more compound specific video for Vegas as well. The first tip that I want to get into, and this is a really big one that a lot of people don't consider and is really important, particularly for recurve. So I'm going to go over to the screen here, and I got this question from an archer a while ago. It's a little bit small here, so I'll read it for you. But they basically said, I can constantly shoot a World Archery 18 meter face and shoot about a 560. However, on a pyramid 3 target face, like the Vegas face here, on one of these pyramid faces, I am useless. On the first target, so from their email, from the first target, it seems like they mean this one down here, the bottom left, with the number 1, obviously. They said they are center left on the 8-9 line. So their group is left, essentially. On the center target, number 2, they're in the middle. And then on the third target down here, they are center right on the 8-9 line again. They said, how on earth, essentially, are you supposed to shoot this target? Because they never have this problem on the vertical spot, and they only have it on the Vegas face. Now, this is a really good point. So we'll go to the target here. And this is what took me from having a group that was never kind of centered in a similar way to this archer to basically shooting, it was a 2, if we scroll in here, a 296 this was 2017 in Vegas for the flights division. And I won the flights division in Vegas, and I shot probably one of the best indoor rounds I've shot, which was this 296. I shot all the practice ends, and then the first 5 ends, 150 out of 150 for the first 5 ends. All the practice ends were all 10s, and then I started getting a little bit excited, and then I shot a 9.9 here, and then like a 9.8, and then I guess this one was just out of the line as well, a 9.8, and then one more here. So I got a 296, a great round, but I wouldn't have been able to do it without this technique, which is the Vegas shuffle. This might sound weird, but because the target faces are just a little bit different in terms of where they are on the shooting line, for a lot of recurve archers in particular, if you stand in one place and then just angle your body or don't move anything, you're going to end up getting a group. If I bring my brush up, you're going to end up getting a group exactly like that guy said. So you might get, for example, a group here, then a center group, and then a group to the right. From memory, when I was shooting, I think I was the other way around. I think I would have a group on the right-hand side on the bottom face, and then in the center, and then on the left-hand side on this face. And it was driving me mad when I was practicing this, because the group size was good, but it wasn't in the center, and it would just destroy your score. So what I would do, and I've seen other people do this in Vegas as well, is essentially you line up for the left number 1 target face. You shoot your arrow, and then you just take a shuffle slightly forwards along the shooting line. If you're right-handed, it would be backwards if you're left-handed, but slightly shuffling along so that now you're in line with this second target, and then shuffle along again so that you're in line with that third target. And this is why I call it the Vegas shuffle, and I'm pretty sure other people do this as well. And this just helps, particularly with recurve. It's really important because this just helps you essentially, if you're moving your aim off to the side, I know it's only small, but this is what causes the difference in your expansion feeling and then the group to not be in the middle for the number 1 and the number 3 target face. So I'd encourage you, if you're struggling with this problem, to use this little shuffling. You don't have to shuffle a lot, but to use this to make sure your groups essentially are in the center. Because without doing this, if you're fine, obviously you don't need to worry about it. You don't need to do the shuffle at all. But if you're struggling with this problem, this is the cause, and this is how you can fix it. Now, before we get on to my other tip, my tip number 3, let's go over to Mike for tip number 2.
Tip number 2 is to manage your energy levels. Now in Vegas, it's legendary. There's so much to do, there's so much to see, and as an archer, when I go there, every single bow company I can think of, every manufacturer, they've all got a trade stand. I want to go look at things, I want to talk to them, and if I do that before my shooting session, I know I'm finished. My energy levels are down. I can almost get like just a headache in there because there's so much going on and it's so busy. Now, it's great, but priority number 1, always do your shooting session, and then after that, you can spend as long as you like looking at the bows, looking at their equipment. But if you do it the other way around, honestly, I've done it, it's disastrous. So shooting first and then entertainment later.
Now, tip number 3 is kind of following on from the Vegas shuffle that I mentioned before, and this is choosing your target face side. And also another tip that I want to give you in a minute, kind of related to this. So obviously on this example, I chose to use the triple spot, but on the other side, if we go to, I've got a video up here, if we bring this here and zoom in, you can see, depending on what you want to do, some people, you have the choice essentially of using the single spot or the triple spot. So you can be clever about this. And if, for example, you're really struggling with the grouping that I mentioned before, where you're not being centered, and you're shooting thin arrows like I was, but let's say, for example, maybe you're shooting maybe 260 or 270 out of 300, it would make a lot of sense to shoot the single spot face, because you're going to, basically, by shooting the single spot face that we've got here, you're going to remove the issue with that group change, and you're not going to have too many issues with arrows hitting each other because you're shooting thin arrows as well. That being said, if you're shooting thick arrows, then obviously this target face is the one for you. But being strategic about which target face you pick is actually going to really help you. The only other thing I would say is, I've seen some people pick the single target face here who shoot overnocks, bite to overnocks, and that can be a recipe for broken arrows. But you know, it's up to you. Maybe you're going to win the money back on the roulette table or on blackjack. So you know, that's completely up to you. But this is, you know, it's a good choice that you have, and you should make it, you know, take advantage of that choice. To use the face that's going to help you. Related to that, related to the face, as you may or may not be aware, the target faces change midway through the shoot, which Mike's going to talk a little bit about. But during this changeover, after 5 ends, after 15 arrows, the people that were on the top of the target switch to the bottom, and the people that were on the bottom switch to the top. So you can see here, you've got, if I zoom in a bit more, you've got the 4 target faces here. So what you'll also notice though is the target size is a lot bigger than the faces. Like, there's quite a lot of room. You can, for example, put this target face maybe lower, like this, if you wanted, and there's quite a lot of room. So it gives you an opportunity in the changeover. If you are really if you're really tall, let's take this as an example, you're really tall and you're really struggling with the fact that the targets are almost on the floor, they're really low down, and if you're a really tall archer, especially with recurve, then this can be a bit of an issue with the angle and everything like that. So if you know you're going to struggle with the low target face, and you're really tall, and you're just switching around, you've shot the higher one already, if you're the first person to put your target face on the target, you can kind of slightly, what's the word? You can slightly influence where everyone else puts their target face, and you can just put the target face a little bit higher. So, for example, if you're struggling with that low target face and you're the first one on, don't put your target face down here right at the bottom, because you know you're going to struggle with that. So you can just be a little bit more strategic. And again, like this person has, they're shooting the bottom face, but they've put it up here. And this is a great kind of thing to do if, for example, you're going to struggle with that low target face. Or the opposite is true. If you like that low angle, obviously you can put it lower. But you have, with Vegas, you've got flexibility on the side of the target face you shoot, and also where you position it on the target. So this is quite useful, because if you're going to struggle with a certain aspect, you can kind of take advantage of that. Now for the next tip, let's go back to Mike.
Tip number 4 is practice like the competition. And then particularly the height of the target face. The first year I went to Vegas, they literally had the target butts sitting on the ground. So when you were on the bottom position and you were on the lowest face, my target was only this much off the ground. Now for me as a target archer, that was a big change and is something I found very difficult. If you're a field archer, maybe you'll just fit straight in, no problem. So what I would always do in the lead up to Vegas, I would put my target face, my World Archery target face, as low as I can on my target archery butt, because the targets in Vegas are this far off the floor, and typically in target archery, they're over double that. So get used to shooting lower down, and especially with the recurves, because some of you, if you're not careful, you can get a bit of string contact. So make sure you're tipping at the hips rather than just moving your arms. And as long as you get that and you're used to it, I'm sure when you arrive in the competition hall, everything will be just fine.
Quickly, before we get to the next part of the video, I want to mention my Online Archery Academy video courses. If you haven't checked these out already, you need to go and check them out. You can go to onlinearcheryacademy.com and click on Explore the Courses, or go directly to courses.onlinearcheryacademy.com. There's a link in the description with a special discount as well. But essentially, I've got a beginner's course and an advanced recurve technique course. So if you're watching this video with kind of Vegas in mind, chances are the advanced course is going to be for you. But essentially in these courses, I teach you every single thing you need to know step by step, and I go through every part of the technique in great detail, as well as troubleshooting guides, how to train these certain areas and that kind of thing. And you can kind of explore the courses and see every single thing that's included on the website. So check that out if you haven't already. And also, you need to go to onlinearcheryacademy.com and get my free emails that I send out every week. I send out excellent tips every week, and I think there's about 8,000 archers now worldwide that read these. Everyone loves these emails, A, because they're free, but B, because the information is great, and you can just quickly read it in 2 or 3 minutes. You know, before the weekend, I normally send them out on a Friday or a Saturday, and you can read it and kind of work on some tips over the weekend. So get that if you haven't already. And also, there's a link in the description. If you want to join my community, you can go to members.onlinearcheryacademy.com. You can get access to exclusive videos from me every week, Q&A questions that you can submit and get them answered in videos, and also get coaching, private one-to-one coaching from Steve Weiler and Alec Potts if you want to sign up for individual coaching as well. So check those out, and now back to the video. Now, for the fifth and final point from me, before we get to Mike's final and sixth tip, is about technique. So it's unsurprising that we're going to have an Online Archery Academy video that again mentions technique, because that is important. And I want to get kind of right into it, because the year before I shot this Vegas, where I shot really, really well, got these incredible groups, I didn't shoot that well. In the previous year, I didn't have a great Vegas. I was kind of annoyed from it. And so in the winter before the 2017 Vegas, I focused on one specific thing and really worked on that. And that made the difference to essentially having a much better shoot and winning the division. So this video you might have seen before, but I want to show you here. In this winter, I essentially worked on my draw motion, coming up and drawing a little bit faster, and crucially leading from my elbow, feeling like I'm really coming around and leading from that elbow. So that's what I worked on there. And then also getting really round, like you could see there just at full draw, if I go back to the full draw position, so that I got a really nice elbow alignment through the pressure point of the bow, and also a great shoulder alignment, which made me super solid at full draw, and my expansion really smooth, and the aim wouldn't move too much, and just overall it just made my shot so much better. And this is what I worked on. That made the difference from the year before, probably shooting about, I can't even remember, 288, maybe something like that, to shooting 291, 296, 293 and winning the division. Made a huge difference. Now, I'm not saying, because if you're in Vegas at the moment, you're not going to be able to work on a specific technique area like this. So that's not what I'm saying here. But what I'm saying here is, in the days leading up to Vegas, particularly if you're there now practicing, you can pick one thing, try and find one thing to focus on that you know is going to give you the best chance of performing on each and every shot if you execute it correctly. So for different people, this is going to be different things. in my case, for this year of the Vegas shoot, I solely focused on that thing that I had been working on, which was my elbow coming around and getting that great alignment and that kind of thing. So that's what I solely focused on for that whole shoot, and it worked really, really well. I knew if I just did that, then once I get to the full draw position, I can just really smoothly expand and come round, and the rest is essentially taking care of itself from muscle memory. So think about previous competitions where you have performed exceptionally well, where the shots have just felt super smooth and flowing and really nice, and you've performed really well. Think about those competitions and think, is there like something that was common that I was focusing on between those competitions? Maybe, for example, you were focusing on squeezing your scapula towards your spine, or maybe you were focusing on really delivering the bow and slightly extending the bow into the gold to basically push into the gold and then roll the bow down to the floor. Maybe that's what you were thinking of. But while you're in Vegas now, before the competition starts, shoot some practice rounds, score them, and pick one thing to focus on like this and see if it works. This is your golden opportunity. This is my final tip for you, because this is your golden opportunity that is basically going to determine how close to your current potential you're going to get. If you're shooting a 270, it's not going to make you shoot a 290. But if you consistently shoot 270s, 275s, and you really focus on this thing, this might squeeze you to maybe a 278, a 279, a 280, and really maximize everything out of your potential. So this is really the key tip that I want to leave you with, and I really encourage you to use this in the practice days leading up to the competition to focus on. Now for the sixth and final tip, let's go over to Mike again.
Tip number 6 is check your target face. Check you're aiming and shooting at the right one. Now for me, as a World Archery target archer, Las Vegas is the only competition I do where after 15 arrows, you switch. If you've already been shooting the bottom face, you then go on to the top face, the top 3 spot. And if you've been shooting on the top 3 spot, you then go on to the bottom 3 spot. So you change that position. No other tournament I do does that. And I have seen so many times people fighting for medals, fighting for positions, and they go and stick an arrow in the wrong target face and 10 points are just gone. So for me, every time I come up to that line, I'm telling myself, top target face before I shoot, top target face and shoot again. And really double check, because it's such an easy way to have a whole week or season's work just wrecked in one arrow. So every time you stand up there, ask yourself, tell yourself, which face are you shooting at? All right, then you'll have fun.
So those are 6 tips from me and Mike on how to win Vegas in 2025. I hope you enjoyed this slightly different style of video. I'd encourage you to go over and subscribe to Mike's Compound more specific channel as well. But importantly, before you go, if you could do me a favor, if you've got some friends or club members or that kind of thing that shoot compound or would be more interested as well in Mike's channel, please send a link to them about Mike's channel so that they can check it out. He's going to be posting loads of videos on there, and it's going to get really big really fast, I'm sure. But his knowledge when it comes to compound in particular is incredible. And everyone is going to learn a whole amount from watching his channel. So maybe send the links to your club, maybe put it on a Facebook page if your club has one of those, that kind of thing. And enjoy Vegas if you're there. And let me know finally in the comments below. I'm interested to know, were you aware of the Vegas shuffle? And if you were, do you do it? Or maybe you don't do it. Maybe you think it's stupid. Maybe you've seen people do it and think, what the hell are they doing? I want to know in the comments below what you think about the Vegas shuffle. So have a good time, and I'll see you in the next video.